Hi everybody. Today what we're going to do is a watercolor shape picture. If you don't want to do watercolors or you don't have them, you could easily do this with markers, crayons, or colored pencils. So all you'll need for this is one piece of paper. If you're painting, you'll need one paintbrush, water, a paper towel to wipe your brush off on, and watercolor paints, or whatever paints you want to use. What I'd like you to do is think about geometric shapes, so shapes that we use in math a lot. There are circles, squares, ovals, triangles, and rectangles. If you want to choose a different shape, that's fine, but these work very well for this activity. I'm just going to choose one shape and I'm going to repeat it over and over. You also want to choose 3 to 5 of your favorite colors. And I'm going to start with one color at a time, make multiple shapes, and then rinse my brush, change it, and then keep going. All right? So I think today I'm going to work with rectangles. So they have 2 long sides and 2 short sides. So I'm going to get my piece of paper and I'm going to choose my first color, and what I want to do is put some water on that color. I'm going to start with purple. So I'm going to put a few little drops on that color, and I might even think about my second color, which I think is going to be green. So I'm going to put a few drops on that, and that helps the paints get ready. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to make circles in that one color. So I'm mixing the pigment with the water. And usually the more you mix, the darker your color. So I have it on my brush here. And I'm going to start with large rectangles, and I'm going to put them all over my paper. So you can draw the outline first and then paint the inside. So I'm trying to go in the same direction. I'm going to get more of that color. Here's another rectangle. If you need a little bit more water, if it's getting dry, just one dip in the water will help smooth it out. And actually I need more paint because I can see it's getting lighter there. And you probably want slightly heavier paper for a painting if you're doing the painting. Copy paper probably would not work very well because it's so thin. And let's do another one here. And I'm trying not to touch the very edge of my painting. It's kind of a medium one. So I'm filling these ones in. We call that a closed shape. And I'm going to do one more here. All right, now I want to change color. So I'm going to take my brush and put it in the water and make circles. Circle, circle, circle. And then I'm going to drag it on the edge. Okay, if you tap, you're going to spray paint and water, and we don't want that. Okay, I'm going to go to my second color, which is green. Circle, circle, circle. And then I'm going to add more closed rectangles. And I am not going to let my shapes touch each other. If you like that, you can go ahead and do it, but I like to leave space, the white paper space in between. And I'm really just going horizontally or vertical with my shapes. If you really wanted to go diagonally, you could do that too. And I'm checking to make sure I've put shapes in every part of my paper. I'm gonna put another one right here. Okay. And I'm gonna rinse my brush. And I think I want some red and blue. So now I'm going to start making slightly smaller shapes. If you want to get a smaller brush, you can. Or if you have a larger brush, don't push as hard with the bristles and you'll get smaller shapes. So I'm going to get my red, circle, circle, circle. And then I'm going to go in and make smaller shapes. And I'm going to fill it a little bit, but I'm going to leave the center open. I'm still trying not to let my shapes touch each other. dipping in the water, adding more paint. And I'm just repeating that shape. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna rinse my brush, drag it on the side, choose my next color, which is this sky blue. Circle, circle, circle. And I'm gonna keep filling in with smaller open shapes. These look more like little squares. That's all right. If you feel like you really want or need to use other shapes, you could do that. And if a color seems lighter, you can just go over it again. All right, so I feel like my paper is full of shapes. And if I look back, I have large closed-in shapes. I have smaller open shapes. I have space in between. It's okay if your shapes do touch each other, and if the paint is wet, it'll run into each other and bleed, and that's just a nice quality of watercolors. But I really was working on them not touching. But it's really just personal preference. So you could stop here and have a finished painting. I will show you another step in a little bit if you would like to add on to that. Thank you. See you later. The next step is drawing different lines on your painting if you choose to. And we can just review our lines right here. There are short lines or dashed lines where you're picking up your pen in between and leaving spaces, or long lines, and this one is also straight, so there's no bends or curves or bumps in it. Zigzag up and down, loopy lines, kind of like cursive writing, dots, and dots are like little circles that you color in, wavy lines, cross hatching, where you're putting in diagonal lines and then going back the other way, and spirals, which are my favorite. And there are others that are not on here. You can use whatever kinds of lines you want. You can go in with a Sharpie or a Crayola marker. You can simply outline shapes if you want to. I might even put another rectangle inside. These almost remind me of the doors in Monsters, Inc. Love that movie. You can fill a shape with cross-hatching or create another shape over them. So actually, I'm going to draw a rectangle floating over all of these other rectangles, and I'm going to start my diagonal lines going in one direction, and then have them go in the other direction, and that creates these little diamonds, which I think looks really cool. I'm going to do a couple of those. And maybe one over here. You could also just do some cross-hatching, floating over your shapes. That's kind of fun. Okay, I'm going to do one over here. All right, adding some kind of texture over the top of your painting. I'm going to make some spirals. I could fill a section with spirals. Or I could even put a spiral right on top. Right on top. Right on top. I'm going to make some dots. Maybe a little spiral in there. Zigzag. I haven't done zigzag yet. Again, I can fill inside shapes. I can float them above shapes. And I'm trying to make sure I spread my lines around the paper so that it moves the viewer's eye around the paper. If I was just to draw black shapes in one section, the viewer's eye would just go to that section and kind of get stuck. So it's nice to move it around the paper. How about some loopy lines? Those are fun. They almost look like confetti. And wavy lines. And short lines. You don't have to use them all. I just think it's fun. It almost looks like a little road in a little street. You might even take a step back and look at it and see, what do I need to add? What would I like to change? Or am I happy just the way that it is? I like this. And it doesn't have to be black that you use, but black will show up the best. And just make sure you put your lid on when you're done. And I think that looks great. So see you next time.